Hello, my name is Janelle, and today I would like to share with you some very special books. We will be looking at a collection of books that center around fostering a love, appreciation, and a value for the arts. So we will be looking at the likes of Shakespeare, Beethoven, Mozart, Michelangelo, and DaVinci. So let's have some fun and let's get started. Our first book is Michelangelo, written and illustrated by Diane Stanley. Michelangelo was one of the greatest artists of all time, and in this particular book, we are presented with a perfect introduction to his art, as well as art history in general. Stanley conveys his story in such a way that children are captivated by the unfolding adventure that Michelangelo experiences. The next book that we will be looking at is also from author and illustrator Diane Stanley, entitled Leonardo da Vinci. As a boy, Leonardo was apprenticed to a famous artist, but he quickly became more skillful than his teacher, and his passionate interests went far beyond art. So once again, we can applaud author and illustrator Diane Stanley for her work in conveying the life of yet another famous artist. But what Stanley has also done is shown young readers that Da Vinci was not a one-dimensional artist, and that in fact he also was very intrigued by inventions and kept journals of those things that he had created, such as submarines and flying machines. So the opportunities are endless for what a child can uncover in this book. Our next book, Mozart, the Wonder Child, by Diane Stanley. This vivid biography is about one of the most legendary prodigies in history. And once again, award-winning author and illustrator Stanley engagingly tells the story of a brilliant boy who grew up to be a complex and often troubled young man, but a man who composed some of the most beautiful music of all time. Stanley has a keen knack for being able to take the material of complex lives and deliver it in such a way that children are able to engage and learn from what is being presented. And such is the case with the life of Mozart. He was a magnificent musician, and he started at a very young age, the age of 3. And this is something that the children can connect to and identify with through their own creativity and their own imagination. And she delivered the story of his life through the delivery of a marionette show, which was also something that was very popular during the culture of Mozart through the Salzburg Marionette Theater. So once again, another wonderful illustration and story from Diane Stanley. Our next book is Beethoven Lives Upstairs, written by Barbara Nickel, illustrated by Scott Cameron. This is a wonderful book that weaves fact and fiction through the story that is seen through the eyes of a young boy named Christoph. And what this does is it allows young readers to feel a sense of identity as they walk through this unfolding story of the life of Beethoven. With it, we find very warm and articulate oil paintings that are delivered through Scott Cameron's illustrations. He's very articulate in the time period and the delivery of that. And we also find that with this book comes a recording of some of Beethoven's actual musical pieces, making this a wonderful introduction as an overall whole for children to classical music and the life of Beethoven. And finally, I present to you The Bard of Avon, the life of William Shakespeare, written by Diane Stanley and Peter Venema, with the illustrations once again from Diane Stanley. Not enough can be said about the passion and the heart that Diane Stanley has for conveying history and the nature of biographies in such a way that children are captivated and drawn in by the material that she presents. Her art for storytelling and her talent for illustrations combine to create a powerful story that children appreciate and read again and again. So it would be very befitting that I would present the last of my books to you today with the greatest storyteller, William Shakespeare. I hope that these books have given you food for thought, and I thank you for your time. Happy reading.